show his scars, say these wounds. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? Nobody! You tell her.
Welcome to the Big House, the CFB Nation. How are you? I'm Annie. We're back again with another episode, so let's get right into it. Now, I wanted to spend some time with the coaching staff and it being revisited for 2023 and 2024, the two different coaching staffs, but need to mention this first and foremost. Denard Robinson has been suspended for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. He was involved in a one-car accident at 3:07 in the morning. Now, we talked about him being a legend a few weeks back, and he was really the only bright spot in the entire Richard Rod era. And even though, Shoelace has an off-field position with the program and with the staff, it's still a big deal. Now, I'm not a podcaster who covers a team. I'm a lifelong Michigan Wolverines fan. I bleed maize and blue. I have a Charles Woodson jersey that's signed. I have a J.J. McCarthy. Those who stay will be champions. These are mottos that you have as a lifelong fan. And we already had one coach that got arrested for DUI, and that was Greg Scruggs, and he was let go. Two staffers getting, rather it's weed or alcohol, but, DWI, now OWI, it is a concern. And I don't care that, if it didn't hurt anyone or harm anyone. Shoelace, these coaches, they are in charge of, mentoring these young men, these student athletes, and you can't have that in a program. And as much as Shoelace is a legend within the program, he just has to go. Michigan can't have this. You didn't have this with Jim Harbaugh. You can't do this. You just can't. And it's a shame of what happened. But at the end of the day, he has to go. I get that you're innocent until proven guilty, but when you have these two back-to-back incidents within a month of each other, I mean, come on, you just can't do this. But it will lead us into the coaching staff review. Now, in 2023, the coaching staff was a cohesive bunch. They were developers. You had head coach Jim Harbaugh. You had the offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, Jesse Minter, Kirk Campbell, Mike Hart being the running back coach and the run game coordinator. You have Ron Bellamy as a receivers coach, Grant Newsom, tight end coach. On the defensive side, they were wizards. Steve Klingsdale was the co-defensive coordinator, the defensive backs coach, the passing game coordinator. You had Jay Harbaugh, the safety coach and the special teams coach. And then the hidden weapon was Ben Herbert, the associate head coach and strength coach. The new program, the new regime, the holdovers are Sharon Moore, who's now the head coach. Kirk Campbell's been elevated. He is the offense coordinator and still the quarterbacks coach. Ron Bellamy is still there. Grant Newsom moves from the tight end to the offensive line. And then Justin Triss was the mentor under Ben Herbert. He now takes over as the strength coach. New to the staff, defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, running backs coach, run game coordinator Tony Alford, tight ends coach Steve Kasula, linebackers coach, run game coordinator Brian Jean Mary, defensive backs coach, passing game coordinator Lamar Morgan, and D-line coach Lou Esposito, and then special teams coach J.B. Brown. Now, let's take a look at this staff. And to me, Justin Tress is the most important coach in this staff. He is taking over a great strength and conditioning program that Ben Herbert left behind. Now, he learned from Herbert. I'm sure he has some tweaks of what he wants to do, kind of put his stamp on it, but I don't expect a huge fall off. He did learn from the best. And when you are learning from the best and you have the best to learn from, you take a lot from them. And I do think that he will implement some things, but I don't think it'll be a drastic fall off. Last week we mentioned a guy gained 70 pounds. And, so far, these true freshmen, they put on 15, 20 pounds, and they appear to be good weight. We've seen Donovan Edwards put on about 10 pounds, and he says he still feels great, looks great, and his speed is there. So everything's good from that aspect. Now, what I do like is the fact that with his coaching staff, the previous ones were developers. These ones are recruiters, and I really like it. Now, Jim Harbaugh wasn't a recruiter. He was the brand. He was the closer. He would come in and close these 50-50 kids. That's who he was. But at the end of the day, Jim Harbaugh hurt the program as far as a recruiting sense goes. He was being rumored for NFL jobs every year. In 2023, he was rumored for the Vikings job, and he interviewed with them. And then, he made a promise that he wouldn't interview for any other jobs. And then he is gone this year. With Harbaugh being rumored for essentially every year that he was at Michigan, Michigan couldn't get these top recruits. You just can't, because the SEC coaches, the ACC coaches, the Big 12 coaches will say, you know what, I'm going to be here for 3 to 4 years. Is Jim Harbaugh going to be? And that was a legit question. And now you also had Mike Hart. He was more of an X's and O's kind of a coach, a rah-rah type, not really a recruiter, just a guy who kind of hyped, these guys up and helped, develop them. And then they really leaned on Ben Herbert. Ben Herbert was the key. They lean on him to kind of add weight to them and to kind of mold them into actual football players. And then the coaching staff kind of mold them and develop them into who they were as the final product. That's why you didn't see many transfers. They were 3 and 4 star kids that the staff invested in, and they coached them up and they formed a bond and loyalty. With this current staff, as we take a look at it, Sharon Moore was always the best recruiter under Harbaugh's staff. He was. All the best guys that came in, Sharon Moore was the guy that grabbed them. Now, Moore saw the weakness in the program with the coaches and how he really was the only one, and he grabbed some guys out there to be recruiter. Now, we mentioned Tony Alford before. There's not much I can further say about the guy. He is a home run hire. He's going to elevate the class, but he needs time. Now, he is trying to flip these guys that are later on, that the current class of 25, they've already formed relationships with all these other programs, and he's trying to get in late, try to build these relationships. Now, he's formed some relationships through Ohio State, but those guys, they kind of want to stay with Ohio State because they've been to the program. They see the ongoings there. But he was the guy that brought them in to kind of see what the culture was about. Tony Alford playing behind the 8 ball here. Now, if he can get 1 or 2 guys that are, top 100, that would be great. But if you're wanting a top 5 running back from the class to recruit this year, you're asking for too much. Everything crumbled when Harbaugh left. He took all the coaches and the majority of the staff. Mike Hart wasn't out there recruiting. So when Harbaugh left, that's when he took that leave of absence. So he wasn't on the trail. There were no cookie crumbs for Tony Alford to come and kind of pick up the pieces. He really had to start from scratch, and he was able to get some top recruits in to kind of visit the big house, see what's going on. But these guys already have crystal balls to other programs. So he's trying to get them late, and he's going to grind, he's going to hustle. But if you're anticipating a top 5 running back that's going to commit for the 25 class, you're going to be disappointed. Now in 2026, that's fresh. If they can get a top 5 running back, top 10 running back, and build some depth, that would be great. And so that's something that I want to caution people. While Alford is a great recruiter, he's he needs time. He really only has a few more months left before these top guys kind of start to make their commitments. You see in the spring games when they occur, you have these kids coming for a visit, and that's when they kind of make their recruitment. That's kind of when they go, okay, I kind of like this program, kind of like this program. Right now, Michigan only has 3 recruits that are locked in. They lost a couple when the previous coaching staff left, so we have to see what's going on. But you know the next coach I kind of want to bring up is Brian G. Mary. Now, during his time at Texas and Tennessee, he recruited 4-star, 5-star kids. So he knows how to close. He knows how to get these athletes to come in, because when you're dealing with the Big 12 and Texas and the SEC and Tennessee, if you can close there, you can close anywhere. And so I'm really happy that he was brought on. I think the defense is in really good shape. You have Lou Esposito. He closed and helped develop Braden Fisk and Andre Carter when he was at Western Michigan. So I'm not concerned there at all. With Lamar Morgan, he was able to get 4 guys to come in at Vanderbilt. We're talking about Vanderbilt, who actually cares about the academic institution, who doesn't cheat on the football field, who doesn't pay these athletes under the table. He was able to get 4-star kids to go there. He closed and got Kyron Lacey to Louisiana. You got to remember, Kyron Lacey wasn't always a LSU wide receiver. He started at Louisiana, and it was Morgan who saw the talent and was able to get him. So I do like that. And as we go on to some experience with the coaches, Wink Martindale, what more can you say? For Sherrod Moore to get him, that was a great hire. Michigan has grabbed the branches from the Martindale tree. They now have the entire tree in the system. So I absolutely love it. With J.B. Brown, he was an analyst from 21 to 23. He becomes a staff member now. You have Steve Kasula. He has some experience as a coordinator. He was an offensive coordinator from 2014 to 2018, spent time with Michigan from 2019 to 2021, and then he went out and became an offensive coordinator for the past 2 years. He comes back. The aforementioned Lou Esposito, he was the defensive coordinator at Western Michigan from 2017 to 2023. The defense is full of experienced coaches that are former coordinators. They know how to coach and they know how to develop. When we talk about the recruiters on this staff, Ron Bellamy was arguably the second best recruiter in the previous staff. You can argue that he's now the 5th best recruiter in this staff. Now, we mentioned they only have 3 recruits coming in. We have to see for the spring game this coming weekend who's going to come in, who they can get. They have a quarterback for the 26 class. He is a top 10 quarterback from the class. He has a 3-day visit coming up, and he's been hyping up Michigan. He looks he looks like he's going to be locked into Michigan. We mentioned Taz Williams Jr. He's someone that's visited Michigan. He loves the culture and the program there. He's another interesting one if they can close late. And then, if you can just grab some depth, just start getting guys. If they're low 4 stars, that's fine. At Michigan, they're going to develop. We just need a staff that can recruit, and this is the staff. We have to wait for 2025, though, to kind of get the top guys that we want in. Now, I mentioned the spring game, and that is this coming Saturday. And this isn't going to be a 1 versus 1, a 1 versus a 2. These teams were picked. They had a captain, so it's kind of that kind of a game where it's gonna be a mix and match. It'll be interesting to see, who's matched up with who and how they fare. But my concern is not the defense, the offense. We know this defense is going to look great. The defense will probably be more vanilla. How bad will this offense look? Let's talk about it. The QB1. How will the quarterbacks look? Will Alex Orji look like a competent quarterback, or is he going to go out and just chuck balls into the ground? Is Jaden Denegal able to prove and show to the coaching staff that the game isn't too fast for him, that he deserves a shot at the QB1 spot? Then you have the wide receiver room. They lose a lot of production, a lot of experience. Can Samaj Morgan take the next step and develop a more diverse route tree at the program. Is Tyler Morris going to be used all over the field, or is he going to be more of that intermediate to kind of deep route guy? Tyler Morris has the ability to create after the catch. That's what Samash Morgan does. This is why I'm kind of interested in see what happens. I want both these guys to be chess pieces. I want them to kind of be used all over the place. Let them create after the catch, and especially if the quarterback is not how we want it to be, you don't have to throw it deep. Just throw 5 yards, 6 yards. Let these guys create. Let these guys, run after the catch. I want to see what the tight end 2 spot is going to be. We've heard Martin Klein get all this hype, coming into the spring, how the game has really slowed down for him, how, he is coming into his own. He just needed time to kind of learn the game being from Germany. Does true freshman Brady Prescore, who's gained about 20 pounds this offseason in the strength and conditioning program, does he have a chance to play as a true freshman? He is someone that I'm really high on. I really think he can be the next Colson Loveland for this program. So I want to see how he does. Does he get any run? Does Michigan run 3 tight end sets to kind of use the run game more and to kind of play action off of that? And then for that, that'll also create Colson Loveland, Martin Klein, and Brady Prescorn at the offensive level. So I want to see that. On the defensive side, I want to see the cornerback 2 spot. Is DJ Waller the guy that's being hyped up to be? All camp long, him and Jair Hill have been talked about, but it seems like DJ Waller has the upper hand because he does have a little bit more experience. He is a little bit more physical. That appears to be what the coaching staff wants. So is DJ Waller going to be that guy, or is he not quick enough when we have live bullets and he gets beat late and then they have to turn to Jair Hill? Is Jair Hill even going to be there after this weekend? The portal is currently open, so we have to see how that develops. And we have to remember, we have to take this game with a grain of salt. We want to see the guys that have been hyped up by the coaching staff. We want to see them perform. Ignore these out of the blue standouts. Does anyone remember Peyton Leary last year? We have to take that into consideration. And then is Donovan Edwards going to play a good chunk of the first half? Is Alex Orji going to play the entire game? Are they really going to kind of let the quarterback play develop? Or is it going to be one of these spring games where we don't really get anything? We don't really see anything. So the game is on Fox. It's going to be covered live there. So I am interested to see what happens. But most importantly, no injuries. That's the key takeaway that we got to remember. It's only April. It's not September. No injuries. Now, let's get into our profile segment here. Now, we have offensive lineman, our true freshman player of the day is offensive lineman Blake Frazier. He is 6'5", 270 pounds. He's a 4-star in the composites. He was rated as high as offensive lineman number 6 and as low as offensive lineman number 26. He averaged out to be offensive lineman number 11. Now, the offensive line has a big turnover. They're replacing every single starter this year. Does he have a chance to start? I don't think so, but I think he has a chance to kind of earn that Andrew Gentry role where he is that 6th offensive lineman, becomes that swing offensive lineman. If they do a big package with 6 offensive linemen, he could be in there. While he's a true freshman, he is pretty developed from what I've seen of him. So I do like his game. I do like his play. And he is someone that could be that rotational depth piece this year. So he is a player to watch for the spring game. He is enrolled. I want to see if he starts out with the second team or with the third team. Now, with the next man up player profile today, that is quarterback Davis Warren. We mentioned about the quarterbacks. Jack Tuttle, he's been hurt pretty much all spring, so we haven't got a chance to see him. If Alex Orji isn't that improved starter, if Denigel, if the game's just too fast for him, if Jaden Davis, if as a true freshman, if Michigan wants to kind of save him and not kind of throw him out to the wolves, Davis Warren could be that guy. Now, I'm not saying he will be, but I mean, if the portal isn't an option, he's been a guy that's been in the system for a couple of years. And I wanted to mention him, even if he doesn't get any run at being a starter. He is a former walk-on. He stopped playing in high school due to leukemia. No matter what happens, the saying goes, those who stay will be champions, and no one can take that away from Davis Warren. So whatever happens from here on out, it's just icing on the topping of his career. At one point he had to stop playing, had leukemia, walked onto the program, won a national championship, and has a chance to possibly be the starting quarterback at the University of Michigan. The coaching staff has mentioned that he is the hardest worker in that quarterback room. Our returning player profile of the day is defensive lineman Ray Sean Berry. He is 6'4", 296 pounds. He has 27 tackles this past season with 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pass deflected. Now, the front four is looking very good this year. The depth is there. The talent is there. Berry's got a chance to become an important rotational piece this year and someone that can get some buzz for this time next year. Now, finally, our throwback player of the day, that is quarterback Brian Griese. Brian Griese is a true Michigan man. He turned down scholarship offers to other schools, including Purdue and Kentucky, and he wanted to walk on to Michigan. In 1995, as a true freshman, Brian Griese would be called upon and would become the starter to finish the season. He helped the Wolverines upset number 2 ranked Ohio State that year. In 1996, he was in a quarterback competition. He did not win the starting job, but he would play portions throughout the entire season, and he would also come in relief in the Ohio State game and help lead a comeback. In 1997, he was the unquestioned starter. He was the leader on the offense. He helped the Wolverines win the Rose Bowl. He was named the MVP in the Rose Bowl, and he helped Michigan be national champions that year. Brian Griese concluded his Michigan career with 17 wins and 5 losses. He would enter the NFL draft the following year and be a 3rd-round pick by the Denver Broncos, 91st overall. Now, Griese would go on to have an 11-year NFL career. He had 119 touchdowns, and more importantly, he was a Super Bowl champion. Many of our younger viewers will know Griese as being a broadcaster. From 2009 to about 2020, he covered college football games on ESPN. And then when ESPN got Monday Night Football, he moved over to cover the Monday Night Football games from 2020 to 2022. Now, Brian Griese is currently the San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks coach, and Griese has been a champion at every level of play. And I have no doubt that he will be helping Brock Purdy win and hopefully continue to develop the Iowa State product. Now, in conclusion, I want to thank you again for another episode of Welcome to the Big House. Thank you for tuning in. A special thank you to Dwight Peebles for the intro, Nino Brown for producing me, the entire CFB Nation. Until next week, who's got better than CFB Nation?
Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? No!